Welcome. We are the Gambling Databases research team, and we're here to deliver in-depth analyses of the global iGaming landscape.
That's right. Our goal is always to cut through the noise and give you a clear, data-driven look at how this industry really works.
In each report, we look at everything from regulations and taxes to, what it's actually like for players and operators.
And today, we've pulled our report on a really intriguing offshore market in the Caribbean, the Commonwealth of Dominica.
So our task is to analyze their big push to become an international iGaming hub. We need to figure out if it's a stable, viable option for businesses.
And there's a central paradox here that we need to unpack.
Exactly. Is Dominica this high-reward tax haven for sophisticated companies? Or is it actually a kind of startup trap, disguised by these promises of zero tax?
That's the key question. On one hand, you've got this incredible promise, a 0% corporate tax rate. For an established operator, that sounds like a paradise. But then you're immediately hit with a massive barrier to entry, a $500,000 liquid capital requirement just to get your foot in the door.
That's a huge hurdle. So we need to figure out what that price tag actually buys you and really who this structure is designed for, because it's definitely not the entrepreneur just starting out.
Not at all. Okay, so to understand the economics, we have to start with the law.
The foundation of their whole strategy.
Right. Dominica's entire strategy is built on maintaining a very clear firewall between domestic and offshore gambling.
A firewall?
Yeah, the legal framework, which is built around the old International Business Company Act of 1996, is explicitly designed to attract international revenue. It's not for the local market.
So the government has basically made a calculated choice. They're giving up potential tax money from their own citizens
in favor of a much larger and probably more predictable revenue stream from licensing these big international firms.
And what does that mean for land-based gambling?
It's minimal. It's very tightly controlled. You'll find a few small casinos, but they're mostly attached to tourist resorts. The real national strategy is purely offshore. It's an export model.
Which brings us to a really critical point for any operator thinking about Dominica.
A huge one. Licensed companies are strictly, and I mean strictly, prohibited from targeting Dominican residents.
How do they enforce that?
They have to use mandatory geolocation tech and IP blocking. It's all about ensuring their services are directed at international markets, North America, Europe, wherever, but not Dominica.
That's a big difference from some other jurisdictions like Curacao, where domestic play is often, tolerated or just ignored.
Exactly. Dominica's government looked at its small population, only about 72,000 people, and decided the licensing fees and international investment were worth far more than any local gambling tax.
But doesn't that create a kind of ethical problem? You're basically forcing your own 72,000 citizens onto unregulated foreign sites if they want to gamble online.
Well, that's the trade-off they've made, and it shows up in our data. The player access score for residents is incredibly low, just 4.5 out of 10. Locals have to use unregulated sites. The government accepts that.
Okay, so local market is a no-go. Who's in charge of policing this whole strict framework?
That would be the Financial Services Unit, or the FSU. It operates under the Ministry of Finance.
The Ministry of Finance itself.
Correctly. And that tells you just how important this revenue stream is to the national budget. They are the ones administering the rules and providing oversight.
All right, let's get to the payoff then, the big motivator, that 0% tax rate.
This is the massive advantage. For an established firm, it's a huge deal. You get a full tax exemption on profits from international operations.
So to be clear, that means 0% corporate income tax.
And 0% VAT, value added tax, nothing. When you compare that to jurisdictions where you're paying, 15, 20, even 30% corporate tax, this is massive.
It puts them in the absolute top tier for tax efficiency. But, like we said, it's not free. How does the government get its guaranteed revenue?
It's all handled through the annual license fee. And this is calculated as the greater of $50,000 US, or a capped 5% of the company's gross gaming revenue, GGR.
Let's just quickly define GGR for anyone listening. That's all the money from bets minus the winnings paid out to players. It's the operator's real income before costs.
Precisely.
So a 5% cap on that GGR is a huge deal for a high-volume operator, right?
It's enormous. For an operator doing, say, $50 million in annual GGR, 5% is $2.5 million. But if they're much bigger, maybe $200 million in GGR, that fee would be $10 million. But it's Wait, no, that's not quite right.
Oh, what's the detail there?
Let me just reread this. Yes, okay, I misspoke. The source is clear. The annual fee has a maximum rate to attract the biggest players, but that $50,000, that's the floor, the minimum.
Ah, I see. That's a critical correction. So for a massive operator, paying a fixed lower fee instead of a percentage that could get huge, that's an unparalleled benefit. It
Oh.
makes their costs totally predictable.
Exactly. But let's immediately counter that amazing tax benefit with the thing that scares everyone else away. That financial barrier.
The $500,000.
Right. It's mandatory proof of minimum liquid capital. That $500,000 is enough to scare off any smaller up that might be looking at cheaper hubs like Anjuan or Comoros.
And that $500,000 is just proof of capital, right? You don't have to just hand it over.
You have to prove you have it, but there's another layer. A financial lockup. $100,000 of that capital has to be invested directly into Dominican government bonds.
So you're locking up $100,000. It's basically an interest-free loan to the government, a tax on your liquidity to show you have skin in the game.
That's the idea. So when you add it all up, the capital proof, the locked bond, the fees, the setup, you're looking at over $650,000 just to get started.
This isn't for risk takers. It's for established businesses looking to optimize for the long term.
It puts Dominica in a completely different league. It's trying to be a Caribbean Malta or Gibraltar, but with better tax breaks.
What about speed, though? If you have the cash, is it an efficient process?
The whole process is long, maybe 6 to 9 months, but the actual regulatory review, once you've submitted everything, is pretty fast.
Yeah.
Like 1 to 2 months, which is competitive.
But the costs don't stop.
No, the annual operational costs, even for a mid-tier operator, will run you $15,000 to $25,000 a year, and that's before the big annual license fee.
And now there's a new compliance hurdle that just screams, we only want premium operators.
This is a fascinating change. For 2025, they've made ISO 2701 certification mandatory. It's non-negotiable.
Okay, let's define ISO 2701 because that sounds technical and dry, but it's a huge deal.
It's the global standard for information security management.
Ready.
Silly getting certified proves you have internationally recognized robust systems to protect player data and financial transactions.
So you have to hire expensive auditors and prove your data security is top tier before you even launch.
Right. It adds significant cost and complexity, but it also buys you regulatory respectability. It's a filter. It slams the door on anyone trying to cut corners on security.
They want your checkbook and they want your competence. So what you get in return, besides the tax rate? Let's talk about the infrastructure.
This is a surprising strength. For a small island, the tech is really strong. You have high internet penetration, over 65%. And for iGaming, critically, they have symmetrical 1 gigabit per second fiber.
And why is symmetrical fiber so important?
Symmetrical means your upload speed is as fast as your download speed. If you're running live dealer streams or managing massive real-time sports betting data, you need that low latency. It avoids lag.
It's all about a professional, smooth experience and reliability.
Absolutely. They've started a 5G rollout in the cities, and service uptime averages over 99.5%. That translates directly to operational trust. Your payment gateways work, your games don't crash.
Okay, so you're licensed, you've paid the fees, you've got your ISO cert. What are your day-to-day duties?
The requirements are strict. You have to maintain a local presence through a registered agent, and more importantly, you have to follow enhanced AML and KYC procedures.
Anti-money laundering and know your customer. How tough is the enforcement on that?
The FSU enforces it very strictly. They require real-time transaction monitoring to flag suspicious activity. The goal is to make sure the jurisdiction isn't used for illicit funds.
Which, again, helps their reputation.
It does. Oh, and there's also a small philanthropic bit. Operators have to contribute $5,000 a year to national development programs.
It's a small cost, but it's part of the package. This all sounds very buttoned up. But what about the unavoidable offshore risks? I'm thinking about banking and legal jeopardy.
And this is where the shine can dull a bit. Offshore Caribbean entities, even legitimate ones, still face a high-risk classification from Tier 1 EU and UK banks.
Which means what, in practice?
It means banking friction. It means payment processing bottlenecks. You can't just walk into a major London bank and open an account easily. You often have to use intermediary payment processors, which adds cost and complexity. It's a real drag.
So that's the financial risk. What about the legal risk? Can an executive feel safe from, say, U.S. law enforcement?
And this is maybe the biggest warning in our report. Dominica is absolutely not a safe haven in that sense. They have active, legally binding extradition treaties with the United States and the UK.
Wait, really? So if you're licensed in Dominica, but you illegally target U.S. players,
Yeah.
you're saying the CEO of that company could actually be extradited.
Absolutely. This changes the entire risk profile. Operators who blatantly target regulated markets from Dominica face genuine, personal, legal peril. If you're involved in fraud or money laundering, Dominica will cooperate.
It's huge. The high compliance, the AML, the ISO certification.
Hmm.
You combine that with active extradition treaties, and it means executives have real personal liability.
It's not just about losing your license anymore, it's about your personal freedom. They are filtering for operators who intend to operate legally on the global stage, not for rule breakers.
But such on the local consumer, just for context. What's the demographic?
It's a small, young population, about 72,000 people, median age around 32. Very high literacy, over 90%. But moderate spending power, GDP per capita, is around $7,000.
And their digital habits, are they mobile first?
Very much so. Mobile broadband is about 60% of all internet access. Digital payments are common cards, mobile money, and there's a growing acceptance of crypto.
And when those locals go to unregulated sites, what do they play?
Our data shows they prefer online casino games, that's about 35%, and sports betting around 30%. They tend to make frequent small bets on their phones.
Okay, so let's bring it all back to the operator making a decision. What's the final analysis on Dominica?
The final verdict from our report is very specific. Dominica is viable, but only for established mid to high tier operators.
The economics are amazing once you're in.
Fantastic. That effective tax rate can be near 5% of GGR, or even lower for the giants who benefit from the fee cap. It's super efficient and technologically stable.
But for a startup, that $500,000 capital lockup, the bond, the ISO costs,
Yeah.
it makes it a complete non-starter. They can get a license elsewhere for a fraction of that.
Exactly. It's all about the trade-offs. You get fast review and zero tax, but you have to pay the steep entry fee and meet these incredibly high compliance standards. It's for serious, well-capitalized firms.
So to synthesize it all, Dominica has chosen the path of high integrity and high barriers. The strict AML rules and that mandatory ISO certification are not just for show.
And the combination of that with the extradition treaties just fundamentally resets the risk for executives. You have to treat Dominica as a high compliance hub, not some lax tax haven.
Which leads us to the final thought we want to leave you with. If these smaller, tax-efficient jurisdictions like Dominica are now adopting global security standards like ISO 27001 and using extradition treaties, how does that shift the entire competitive landscape? What other compliance costs will the global enforcement environment force on all offshore hubs in the next 5 years?
It really feels like the era of the low-integrity, safe offshore haven might be drawing to a close.
We've covered a lot of ground today, giving you a detailed look into the Dominican iGaming framework.
It's a truly unique and specialized model within the Caribbean.
For the full text of this and other country reports, please visit our website at gamblingdatabases.com. Thank you for joining us for this analysis. We'll see you next time.